Would you sell one of your prized possessions to buy gas? The high prices are forcing some people to do just that.
A tiny bug makes its annual appearance early. Find out what the city is doing to control the midgie problem.
And the Husker football team is losing another player. We'll have the details next on News Now.
From KOLN Lincoln and KGIN Grand Island, 1011 brings you News Now.
If you are griping over gas prices, you're not alone. In the last month, prices have gone up 39 cents a gallon. Good evening, everyone. I'm John Vanderford.
And I'm Cerise Cole. As gas prices rise, drivers are digging deeper and deeper into their pockets, and for some, there just isn't any money left. As 1011's Melanie Bloom explains, some drivers are willing to give up almost anything to fill up their tanks.
As the price of gas increases, so is the traffic at this pawn shop. Workers at Mr. Money say more people are coming in and selling off or pawning their possessions.
If you don't have an excess amount of cash just at your disposal, then you really have no choice but to come and get a small short-term loan on your items that are of value.
Bill Morgan says they're selling or pawning everything from TVs to jewelry to firearms, so customers can get their vehicles from point A to point B.
Desperate times are calling for desperate measures. An employee at this pawn shop tells me earlier in the day on Monday, a couple came in and sold a bike just like this one. It was their son's, and they needed the money for gas.
It's very tough to see. This is a business where you deal with people that they're having a difficult time.
This woman brought in her car stereo. She doesn't want to be identified, but says she needs the extra money for gas.
I don't have too many things to come and pawn, so I can only do what I can do. It's a struggle. Plus paying bills, yeah, it hurts.
They got caught short in between paychecks because of gas prices.
And for some, a trip here is their last resort for a full tank.
Employees at the Mr. Money pawn shop tell me by early this afternoon they'd already had 5 people come in, and that's just today, and they say they were pawning their possessions specifically for gas. People that bring items into pawn can get them back. They just have to pay interest on it, and many do come back within a few months to retrieve their items.
All right, thanks, Mel. But when it comes to gas prices, Nebraska actually is above the national average. Here's a look at today's average prices for a gallon of regular unleaded fuel. In Lincoln, gas is ringing in at $2.95. It's a little cheaper in Grand Island at $2.91. A gallon of fuel in Kearney is $2.96, and it will cost you $2.95 in North Platte. Again, this is the average cost. Well, no doubt gas prices are pinching the pocketbooks of Nebraskans.
But could there be a silver lining behind the cloud of high gas prices for Nebraska's economy? Some say yes. Dennis Conley, professor of agribusiness at UNL, says Nebraska is the 3rd largest producer of ethanol. And because the federal government is requiring more ethanol nationwide, the demand for alternative fuels increases, leading to more ethanol plants and a boost to Nebraska's economy.
Well, in the local economy here's another $500,000, another $1 million in this area. And though there are multiplier effects then as well, because, they go to the grocery store and they spend it there, and then it gets spent, and things like that.
Now, corn-based ethanol isn't the only biofuel that could help Nebraska's economy. Switchgrass is the wave of the fuel future, and a plant producing switchgrass fuel could eventually come to Nebraska. Our 1011 online poll question to you today: with gas prices on the rise, which fuel are you using? With 284 votes, almost 59% use ethanol, about 41% fill up with unleaded. Well, we saw just about every season in Nebraska today.
Yeah, including snow in the northern part of the state. Will any of that cold weather reach us tomorrow? Ken's in now at the first look at your forecast.
John Cerise, it appears that Old Man Winter is trying to stage a remarkable comeback, at least across some portions of the state. Not quite ready to give up that winter weather. We've got rain moving out of central into eastern Nebraska right now. The snow continuing to fly, along with the colder temperatures across northern portions of Nebraska. As far as 7 a.m., look for cloudy conditions, chilly rain falling, temperatures in the mid and upper 30s in both Lincoln and Grand Island. We could continue to see showers in Lincoln at noontime, with temperatures struggling into the low to mid 40s. We'll have complete forecast details in just a little bit.
Thanks, Ken. One person is dead, another critically injured as police investigate what they believe to be an attempted murder-suicide.
Grand Island police responded to a report of gunshots before midnight on Saturday. They found 31-year-old Raquel Rivera upstairs at a home at 1704 North Houston with a gunshot wound to her face. Authorities found her boyfriend, Pedro Rodriguez, dead in the basement with a gunshot wound to his head. Police believe Rodriguez shot Rivera, then turned the gun on himself. Neighbors say they were shocked to hear what happened in what they describe as a quiet community.
Very scary, very scary. Hard to get back to sleep after doing something like that. Yeah. You know, wondering what's going on.
A former roommate said the shooting is out of character for the normally quiet, well-liked Rodriguez. He was pronounced dead at St. Francis Medical Center. Rivera was flown to an Omaha hospital and is listed as critical but stable. Police say they are investigating. Well, authorities are continuing their investigation into the murders of a Murdaugh couple.
At this point, Cass County officials have made no arrests and don't have a motive. This is video of the crime scene taken last week. The Cass County Sheriff's Department says the home of Wayne and Charmin Stoke had been turned over to the family. Sheriff Bill Brueggemann says investigators have finished a walk through the home with family. Still appears nothing is missing. However, authorities are still shifting through evidence collected at the home. The governor and secretary of state have been called to testify at the impeachment trial of NU Regent David Hergert.
It is a trial Hergert's lawyers have asked the Nebraska Supreme Court to dismiss. According to court documents, Hergert's lawyers allege the legislature failed to identify impeachable offenses when it voted earlier this month to impeach the regent. Hergert is charged with violating campaign finance laws in 2004. The legislature's impeachment vote automatically suspended Hergert from the Board of Regents. It will take 2/3 of the justices to impeach Hergert. A small bug is creating big problems for some Lincoln residents.
Authorities say they have a plan to deal with the midges. The mild winter and early spring are bringing out the aquatic midges in the Capitol Beach area. The city says it plans to get rid of the bugs by restocking the lake with fish, sampling for larvae, and treating the lake to destroy the midgie bugs at an early stage. Lincoln officials also recommend Capitol Beach homeowners keep bushes and grass trimmed and use phosphorus-free fertilizer. Another country has agreed to a trade deal with Nebraska.
Colombia will buy more than 70,000 tons of corn. Congressman Tom Osborne has been working on the deal for the last year. The 3rd District representative says this deal could pave the way for future exports.
But the potential market there is for millions and millions of dollars, and this is a multi-million-dollar deal today. And so we think that that trade can, in the future, be a real big thing for Nebraska agriculture.
Now, last week, Nebraska's delegation secured a $30 million worth of Nebraska ag products to be shipped to Cuba. The governor is getting the nod of approval from the Nebraska Farmers Union. The group announced it's endorsing Governor Heineman because of his service and commitment to agriculture. They say since taking office, Heineman has been willing to deal with tough issues and has worked to help rural Nebraska residents. The Nebraska Farmers Union is the 2nd largest general farm organization in the state.
A deadly attack on a popular tourist destination overseas leaves about 20 people dead and more than 100 injured. That story tops our look at Your World Now. At the height of the tourist season, 3 explosions ripped through the Egyptian resort early Monday night. It's the 3rd terror strike on a Sinai resort in less than 2 years. The town's tourist bazaar was packed with people celebrating at the time. Reports say the bombs targeted a popular hotel and a marketplace. It comes a day after Osama bin Laden issued a taped warning against Westerners. The president of the country is vowing to track down the terrorists responsible. The fate of Zacarias Moussaoui is now in the hands of jurors. They're deliberating whether the self-proclaimed al-Qaeda conspirator will live or die for his crimes. In their closing statement, prosecutors pushed for the death penalty, saying Moussaoui lied to authorities and covered up what he knew about the 9/11 attacks. But defense attorneys say execution would make him a martyr. They said a better punishment would be life in prison. And Enron founder Ken Lay is getting his turn on the witness stand. Lay says the American dream turned into a nightmare when his company collapsed into bankruptcy. The 64-year-old said the most painful experience of his life was watching the destruction and harm inflicted on former employees and investors when Enron collapsed. He is charged with 6 counts of conspiracy and fraud. Hundreds of cocaine users are trying a new drug to fight their addiction.
It is a drug commonly used to treat narcolepsy. Medical experts say modafinil could help reduce the dopamine rush that cocaine addicts crave. The government estimates more than 1.5 million Americans are dependent on or abusing cocaine. The main side effect in insomnia, modafinil helps narcolepsy patients fight off the disease's sudden sleep attacks. A 4-month-old baby in Lincoln is suffering liver disease, and now it's a race against time to find a donor.
Trey Golzo was diagnosed with a rare and deadly disease called biliary atresia. Only 1 in 15,000 babies will have this disease. That's only 300 cases a year in the U.S. It's a disease that causes bile to build up in his liver, turning the skin yellow and making the stomach swell. Without treatment or a transplant, doctors say a child with the disease won't live past the age of 2. But doctors say Trey will likely receive the transplant before his first birthday, and his parents are hopeful.
The good news is there is a cure. That gives me lots of hope and things to look forward to.
If you would like to learn more about this disease or help the family with surgery costs, you can log on to our website at KOLN, and click on Trey's story. Still to come, the world's largest ship is ready to set sail.
We will give you a sneak peek at what the ship has to offer.
A Husker I-back is saying goodbye to Husker Nation. Find out where he hopes to go next in sports.
But first, the Kansas City Chiefs will have a new cheerleader this season, and she's from Nebraska. The story ahead.
Closed captioning provided by audiologist Roy Christensen of ENT Nebraska.
Well, imagine performing in front of 79,000 fans. It's something not very many people get a chance to do.
But a Fremont dancer will be doing just that for the upcoming NFL season. This is the team Lexi Rosenbach of Fremont will be cheering for, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Fremont native was judged on her public speaking and dancing skills as well as her football trivia.
Well, authorities find cocaine in the spines of 2 Bibles a woman tried to send to her husband in jail. Indiana authorities say the barcodes on the Bibles led authorities to a Walmart where they found one had been bought with a credit card. The credit card slip led to Amy Duckworth, who was caught on surveillance video making the purchase. Authorities say Duckworth has admitted to buying the Bibles, but says someone else supplied the cocaine and delivered the Bibles to the jail where her husband planned to sell the drugs.
The Huskers take their weekend series over Texas.
Find out if the victory bumped the team up in the polls. That story in sports.
The $64,000 question tonight, is it winter or is it spring? We'll answer that question for you coming up. But first, a look at the Lincoln and Grand Island weather diaries for today.
You're watching 1011 News Now at 10 with Cerise Cole and John Vanderford.
Outside the window was a figure with bright yellow eyes that glowed like fire. But the rest is to be continued. I didn't like to read out loud during school, and now I'm reading to all the guys, and I'm really good at it.
At Sylvan, we give children the confidence to do more than they ever imagined. We identify your child's unique needs, develop a customized tutoring plan with individual attention, plus online tutoring at home. Get a free DVD and see for yourself how Sylvan can make all the difference. Call 800-EDUCATE today.
What is going on with this weather?
Don't look at me.
Oh, I'm looking at you.
It is going to be, ultimately, it will be my fault. But you know, here in Lincoln, we've had snow as late as May. So this isn't, it's not out of the question. Okay. It's just not very much fun to deal with, especially for the folks that have had snow. And we're going to show you who those folks have been over the past 24 hours. And right now, we've got cloudy skies in Lincoln and some rain, some chilly rain getting ready to move back in. We've got a lot of things to talk about tonight, so we'll start you off with first cast. And we will say cloudy skies, breezy and chilly tomorrow morning with some cold rain falling. Lincoln and Grand Island mid to upper 30s. Tomorrow afternoon, the chance for showers will continue in Lincoln. We could see a few peaks of late day sun in Grand Island, Hastings, and Kearney. It'll still be breezy with highs doing no better than 45 to 50 tomorrow afternoon. We should normally be in the mid to upper 60s. And then tomorrow evening, mostly cloudy here in Lincoln, but partly cloudy conditions. And tomorrow night, we're going to be looking at some very cold conditions. Frost advisories probably going to be issued, or at least the possibility of frost across much of the coverage area as temperatures get real cold. One more reminder, if you don't have anything to do tomorrow night, even if you do have something to do tomorrow night, we'd still love to see you at 7 o'clock at Lincoln Southeast High. And with this weather, you ain't going to want to be doing anything outside anyway. It's a benefit basketball game for the Behavioral Skills Program, students in kindergarten through 9th grade. A celebrity team of which I will participate will take on the BSP students, some staff, some UNL athletes. Our coach will be Shane Osborne. A lot of TV personalities, radio, newspaper celebrities as well. We thought we were going to have Kevin Garnett. Turns out we're just going to have Kevin Suits, so we're going to have to make do with him. And we'll also have Attorney General John Bruning and Fire Chief Mike Spate. $3 to get in, $1 for students. We would love to have you come down and cheer us on, or cheer the BPS guys on. Just come down and help out a great cause. Here's a check at some 24-hour rainfall totals. Grand Island with over 3/4 of an inch, 2/3 of an inch in Wilbur, over 1/2 an inch in Ord, Beatrice, and Aurora, as well as North Platte. Here in Lincoln, about 1/3 of an inch. We're going to pick up some more moisture over the next couple of hours. And snowfall, not just rainfall, but snowfall. Up in Cherry County, we've had between 4 and 8 inches of snow around Valentine and Kilgore, and then you can see some additional snowfall totals there, and it's certainly not out of the question that some folks, especially across the north, could mix in some snow during the evening and overnight hours tonight. Here's a look at Nebraska radar. This loop over the last 3 hours. Here's the chilly rain moving out of central Nebraska into the eastern part of the state. We'll see rain here shortly in Lincoln, and the snow continuing to fly around Ainsworth and O'Neill. Here's a look at the National Weather Service radar out of Hastings. You can see the moisture now continuing to push from the Grand Island and Hastings area on towards the east. That's the moisture that will be working its way into eastern and southeastern Nebraska. Here comes that chilly rain. Most of this is very light, but some areas could pick up 1/4 of an additional inch of precip. Afternoon highs today ranged from the upper 30s all the way to the 70s, so it was quite a mess out there today. 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, including 50 for a high in Grand Island in the afternoon, 68 in Lincoln. Right now, temperatures are in the 30s and 40s. We've got some very gusty winds out there, and it's still blowing between 20 and 30 miles an hour. So if you combine the actual air temperature with these winds, you've got wind chill to deal with. Can you believe it? In late April, we're talking about teens and 20s for wind chills across much of western and central Nebraska. That's not very pleasant. Speaking of not very pleasant, cloudy and 45 with a gusty north wind here in Lincoln. We're down to 36 in Grand Island with some light rain and a north wind at 23 miles an hour. Past 24 hours, you can see our storm wrapping up. In the warm sector of this storm, there is severe weather off to the south and, of course, the wintry weather across portions of the northern and central plains. There's the cold front continuing to move away. Windy, cold conditions with some snow and rain mixed across the state. Tomorrow morning, we'll continue to see the chance for snow, cold conditions, windy conditions. It'll be a chilly rain, we think, in Lincoln and Grand Island, and then things will start to clear out as we move into late in the day on Tuesday. But again, this cold area of high pressure will set the stage for temperatures in the 20s and lower 30s tomorrow night. Tonight, we're talking about 20s, 30s to around 40. Highs tomorrow only in the 40s and 50s. Lows tomorrow night very, very cold, and then much better by the time Wednesday rolls around. Tonight, mainly cloudy skies with periods of rain, windy and colder, 39 in Lincoln, 35 in Grand Island. Tomorrow, the forecast calling for some rain through at least the first half of the day, some gusty north winds, a high of only 49 in Lincoln, 45 degrees in Grand Island, and a forecast right now for Wednesday, a very chilly start. In fact, it could be a frosty start, but with plenty of sunshine, we'll warm into the low and mid-60s by Wednesday afternoon. 7-day outlook looks like we'll warm up rapidly Thursday and Friday, slight chance for some precipitation during the day on Friday, but after today and tomorrow, things will get back to normal around here. But goodness sakes, talking about a cold slap in the face, when you've got to talk about 4 to 8 inches of snow, even in northern Nebraska, it's a little late in the year to be talking about that.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I shouldn't complain about that 45 degrees tomorrow?
I wouldn't if I were you.
Okay. I won't then.
Thanks, Kim.
You bet.
Well, here's tonight's winning lottery numbers. Got the 2x2 red numbers are 5 and 16. The white numbers are 6 and 19. The Nebraska Pick 3 numbers are 6, 8, and 5. And the Pick 5 numbers are 3, 14, 22, 23, and 35.
One of the Husker football players is transferring?
That's right, Cerise. Shocker or not, the Huskers are losing one of their I-backs, now a buyback, a guy who's saying goodbye to the program. We'll have the details on that coming up next in sports.
1011's online sports poll is brought to you in part by Williams Cleaners.
The I-back race Husker Nation is looking forward to will be one member short come the fall. Today, Leon Jackson told head coach Bill Callahan he's leaving the team. This announcement comes after finally settling into a position this spring, which Jackson did at I-back over the past month. The sophomore-to-be rushed for 50-plus yards on 12 carries in the red-white scrimmage. Last season, he spent time practicing in the backfield, then was moved to safety and wound up at receiver. 1011 Husker insider Sean Callahan thinks Jackson might be going back to his home state and will possibly transfer to Washington or Washington State. Bill Callahan issued the following statement about Leon, quote, "We want to thank Leon for his contributions and efforts, and we wish him well in his future endeavors. We have been extremely supportive of Leon Jackson's development in our program, and we are disappointed to see him leave so early in his career," end quote. Well, we want your thoughts on Leon Jackson leaving the team. Log on to our Voices from the Crowd sports blog and let us know. Well, even though the Nebraska baseball team took 2 from Texas in Austin, the Huskers remained at number 4 in the national polls today. Up next for the Big Red, Wichita State, who they host tomorrow. That game can be seen on Cox Cable or Time Warner Channel 77. This week's sports poll question: if the game was on the line, which Nebraska pitcher would you want on the mound? You see the options, log on and vote. From baseball to softball, Rhonda Ravel's team enjoyed quite the thrilling weekend at Texas Tech. Saturday, Jamie Waldecker and Crystal Carwile hit back-to-back home runs to tie and win the game in the 7th inning. Then yesterday, the Huskers came from behind, taking the lead in the 7th, but the game went into extras. In the 10th, the Big Red put up 6 runs, 3 coming on this Devin Porter homer. Well, that's about as exciting of a series as you'll find.
I kept thinking yesterday, had we been playing that game at home with this crowd and as lively as they've been this year, they would have been absolutely going crazy in that 10th inning. So we hope to give them some real highlights in the next 2 weeks. Maybe not so much drama, but at least a lot of highlights.
Well, Ravel hopes those highlights begin tomorrow as her team hosts Creighton at 6 p.m. That game kicks off a 6-game homestand, which is music to the Huskers' ears. They're 15-1 this year at KOLN Stadium.
We love playing at home in front of our fans. We have the best fans ever, and they're so loyal and great. We just enjoy playing with in front of them and just being at home and comfortable in our own setting, and just we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
High school track and field, the Eastern Nebraska Championships, 100-meter relay for boys, or 100-meter dash for boys. Check out the finish here. The guy on the far right's going to win it, but look how close it is. 3 guys within 0.07 of a second. Adam Pekarik wins from East Butler. Then on the discus, Sam Siegel of Lincoln Southwest tosses 140.5 feet. He also wins the shot put. Good day for him and everybody else there. John and Cerise will be right back.
We're here in the Amazon.
The United States is getting a very big delivery.
It is a 160,000-ton cruise ship. This is the world's largest cruise ship, the Freedom of the Seas. Hamburg leaders handed over the vessel to Florida-based Royal Caribbean Cruises. The giant ship can carry around 4,000 people. It offers several different pools, an ice rink, and a climbing wall.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that this is probably the most sophisticated, technologically advanced bridge on the high seas. We have the same systems and in many ways more advanced systems that you'll find on naval vessels.
Now, if you'd like to catch a ride on Freedom of the Seas, you'll have to book a Caribbean cruise. Authorities say the liner will sail from its home port in Miami.
That's pretty impressive.
Just book that cruise.
I think we should all go.
Well, Ken's coming back with one last look at your forecast.
Before that, a look at what's coming up tomorrow morning on 10/11.
Coming up tomorrow on 10/11 this morning, your produce man will tell you why this can be one of the worst times of the year for the bell pepper.
And more showers are in the forecast. I'll have your pinpoint forecast every 10 minutes.
Please join us tomorrow for 10/11 this morning.
Well, I guess we better wear something warm tomorrow.
Or 2 or 3 things that are something warm tomorrow, I think might be the best idea. Here's a look at Nebraska radar. Snow falling across the north, otherwise a chilly rain moving into eastern portions of Nebraska. If it's not raining in your neighborhood right now, it will be shortly here in the capital city. Breezy conditions, very cold. It does not warm up very much. We don't see much sun. Tomorrow night it gets even cooler, and we could start the day on Wednesday morning with some areas of frost. But after that, temperatures warming up.
All right.
Well, we want to thank you for choosing News Now.
Have a good night.